So I just uploaded a video where I gave you guys the results of the draft, and then while it was uploading, I figured, you know what? Why don't I give you guys my thought process behind why I chose the cards that I did and what kind of deck it was. All right. So originally, I was gonna go with black and green because the very first pack I pulled, I had a really good black and green card. So I went with black and green. And I'm going for what I thought was going to be a bunch of black and green cards. There was nothing but black cards for the longest time that would work with my deck. There was no greens. People were taking the greens. And eventually, once we got to the second pack, I wasn't getting anything at all for the two colors that I chose. So I went with black and white. And I'm like, okay, well, I have all of these black cards. Maybe I can get some whites. I'm not getting any greens. So I went with black and white for a while. Pack number 3 comes. And it's just the same shit over and over again. In the end, there wasn't enough green to make a black and green. There wasn't enough white to make a black and white. I had all these multicolored spells. There wasn't enough black to be by themselves. I had to basically do a triple color deck. So I went with black, green, and white. There was only one spell out of all that I actually grabbed that wasn't any of those colors. And it was a blue and red creature that at the beginning of your main phase, you add a blue and red to your mana pool. And I grabbed it for a blue and red deck of mine. So that was it. That's the only reason why I grabbed that card, and that was the only one that didn't fit the 3 colors. So the idea of the deck that ended up getting made was there are things in the deck that require you that they do things if you gain life that turn. Okay, well, there's a lot of life gaining regardless in that deck. Okay, there are also things that if you target a creature, it activates abilities, whatever you call it. And there were things in there that definitely did that. I pulled out certain cards that I wanted, but they just weren't working how I had hoped. So that was why I got rid of certain cards. And by the time I got to that last person, I realized some of the cards that I had taken out, I wish I didn't taken out. And I'm one of those people where if I'm playing against somebody in a tournament, even if I have a sideboard, I don't pull from the sideboard until after I'm done with this person. I don't do it in the middle of in between battles. It's just something I've always done. Yeah, I lost against this person. Well, I want to see if I can do it again, but this time I know what they have, so I know what to expect. It's a dumb thought process, but it's just something that I need to get out of because that's kind of what's messing me up sometimes. But that was the deck. There were a lot of very nice cards that I definitely liked. The black and green spell that started me on that path to begin with of black and green was, I forgot the full effect. It was something like, it was a 5-drop. Creatures you control get plus, I don't remember exactly, +3/+3, and gain menace, trample, and whenever they attacked this turn, I gain a life, or I deal damage and then gain a life. I don't remember exactly, but something along those lines. And I thought, oh my god, that's a nice card. Alright, I'm gonna grab it. Little did I know, I would be finding so many fucking black cards and barely any green cards. So, it was a bad decision on my part. But I had fun. Even though I lost and I did shit, I still had fun. It would have been nice if I at least won one of the rounds, matches, whatever, but you know, it is what it is. When it comes to Secrets of Strixhaven, so far from what I've seen, there is definitely a lot of really good cards. When it comes to the mechanics, it's okay. I think certain mechanics work well already as it is with the decks that I already have. Okay? A great example is the one where you gain life and it activates triggers abilities and stuff. Great. Because coincidentally, those are a lot of the black and white cards. And there's also green ones that do the same thing, but the black and white cards are great because I'm literally doing black and white commander deck soon. Which, the reason why I even chose those 3 colors in the first place, why I switched to black and white, I'm making 2 commander decks. I have a week to make it. I have to make it by next Friday. We're going to be doing something called Arch Enemy. I talked to 3 other people. They agreed. I've never done it before. I'm going to be the Arch Enemy, which I was actually excited because I wanted to try out a very specific deck against multiple enemies in a commander deck. It's a black and white card. So, a black and white deck, sorry. Basically life stealing. And the more people I go against, the better. So, I'm going to play a game as the Arch Enemy using that deck, the black and white deck. The other deck I'm going to be using is afterwards. This is the one that's going to probably piss them off, but they agreed to it given to the fact that we're playing Arch Enemy anyways, and you know, whatever. So it is a black and green infect deck with the commander as well as other cards in the deck using Scavenge. So it's a Scavenge infect deck, which if you don't know what Scavenge is, I exile a creature in my graveyard with Scavenge, and then it gives a creature on the battlefield +1/+1 counters equal to that creature's power. So if I exiled a creature with 2 power in the graveyard that has Scavenge, I would put 2 +1/+1 counters on somebody. Okay? It goes great with Infect, in my opinion, because I'm powering up the Infect, which, remember, they deal damage based on poison counters, and if I get someone at 10 poison counters, they lose. So, yeah, I'm going to do that as my second deck, and I'm looking forward to it. I am actually very, very excited. But the problem is I have to make the deck within a week. And I don't really have access to my cards right now. I have to go and ask somebody who is holding on to the cards if I could pull them out and work on them. So it looks like they're playing baseball. But yeah, But yeah, so that was the thought process behind making the deck. And that's the only reason why I went black and white, was because I'm already going black and green. A lot of these would work well with, as I said, the Infect deck. I see some cards that are black and white that would work perfectly for my life gain deck. My life steal, I guess, technically. And that's the whole reason that I went with the 3 colors that I did, and why I made the deck that I did, why I got the cards that I did. Well, yes, that one black and green card that I got from the very first pack was great. I didn't have to keep going that way. But I had the whole thing in mind of next Friday, and I was just getting prepared for all that basically. I was getting cards that I thought would work great for that kind of a deck. Not everything that I grabbed is gonna go into it. There are definitely spells that I pulled from the packs that make no fucking sense. Like green spells, green creatures, they would not work at all in my deck. And that's fine. In fact, one of the cards that I pulled, it's a black creature, cost 4. And it comes out as a 7/6 with Menace. Yeah. And that's gonna work fucking awesome with my scavenge ability, because I'm paying 4 because Scar Striped gives him scavenge based on what he has for his mana. So he cost 4 to give somebody a 7+1/+1 counters. And he also has Ward where I make them discard a card. So it's great. I feel like that is a card that would work perfect for the deck. Cheap, gets shit out. Sorry, he's cheap, cost, has a lot of big power. His ability is that at the end of my turn, unless I gained life, I would have to sacrifice a permanent, which works perfectly anyways on filling my graveyard of creatures that I need to for the ability of Scavenge. That was, again, the idea. I liked how it worked out. It does what I want it to do. Now, that same card would also work well, believe it or not, in my black and white deck. That card literally is perfect for both of the decks that I was planning on making. I just need to figure out which deck it would be more useful in. I feel like my Infect deck, but we'll have to see. I have to make the deck still. And the amount of cards that I got tonight from the draft, there is a lot of cards that I have never used before, obviously, because they're fucking new. And it's going to make me have to think more on what to use and not use. Because I have made a black and white commander deck before. The same one I'm about to make now. I have had a black and green Infect commander deck. In fact, I've redone that a couple different times. I've done it, as I said, Infect Scavenge, but I've also made a version of it where it had Eldrazi's in it. The Eldrazi version wasn't as good. Too expensive to get out. Just, it wasn't going to work. But still fun regardless. And so I'm only redoing the decks that I've already made in the past that I disassembled. But this time I have more cards to work with, which I think is nice. So I am excited to make these decks. And it won't happen until Friday. Technically it starts at noon, but I don't get off work until 2 o'clock. So I'll be 2 hours late. However, it's free Commander, and they would just be playing with themselves until I get there anyways. So yeah, I am, as I said, looking forward to it. But anyways, to be honest, those are probably going to be the only 2 commander decks that I even work on or at all. There was somewhat talk of a 2-headed giant commander game. It was just talked about. It wasn't like, oh yeah, we're definitely doing it. It wasn't like 100%. It was just, we were just talking about it. So if I did make a 3rd deck, it would be blue and white, and it would be my Detain deck, where the whole purpose is to play support, countering shit, stunning shit, tapping things, making it so people can't use their abilities. The whole purpose is just that. And I'm going to be playing support the whole time. I'm going to be trying to help my teammate, protect them, blah, blah, blah. That would be the entire idea behind the deck. So, we'll see. But that, again, that only the 2 decks I mentioned are going to actually be done right now, because those are what we agreed on for next Friday. The blue-white is just, if I have time, or if I don't have time, then I can work on it later on in the future. But, yeah. When I think about it now, I have 2 decks that are using black, commander-wise, and 2 decks that would be using white. Black and white, yeah. I hope I have the lands for it, because I'm just now realizing I might not. I also made some 60 card decks that are just for fun, but there are some good cards in those decks, so I might pull some cards from those decks depending on what happens and what I need at the time, but we'll see. Anyways, this video was meant to only originally talk about my thought process behind making the deck and what kind of deck it was, and then I start talking about other shit related to Magic. I'm sorry. It wasn't meant to be this long, but I hope you all have a good night. It's like almost 11 o'clock right now at night. So, alright, adios.